Hello everyone. Some of you may already know that I am an SIS parent. My son Alexander Hankins, who is currently in year 13, and Netra Hankins graduated from South Island in 2019. The question is, why am I here today? I am here at my children's request. For my children today, I would like to share with you some part of my story, and especially to share with you what my dad said to me, which I believe it was the key to my survival, and it remained as a valuable lesson in my life. I was born in Cambodia. As a child, I was very lucky to live a very fortunate life. I was surrounded by big family. Life was fun and free back then until I was about 8. On the morning of 17th of April 1975, that was the morning that my fairy tale's life was turned into something unimaginable. It was the day that the whole country of Cambodia was taken over by the Communist Party revolution called Khmer Rouge. Everyone in the capital city of Phnom Penh was forced to evacuate, leaving all their belongings behind and travel by foot to the outside the city. And all we was told that we would return after 3 days. But that 3 days turned into 3 years, 8 months and 20 days of living in the countryside and working on the collective farm. During those years, children were separated from their parents. Many people were killed, tortured, and one of them was my dad. When I was about 10, it's time for me to leave the family cottage to join the labor camp. I was scared because a year earlier, when my older sister and my brother left home to the labor camp, we never seen or heard from them since. So, the morning that someone came to take me away, I wanted to cry, but I knew that I shouldn't, nor should my parents, because we all had been educated that children was the property of Angkar, which what the Khmer Rouge called the government. So the children should only listen and give their devotion to Angkar only. So instead of giving a physical affection, my dad leaned forward to my ear and said, "Just be useful." And that was it. While I was walking to the camp, I kept thinking about what my dad said and what it meant. After walking all day through the villages, through the field, through the jungle, over a mountain, we arrived at the labor camp where I could stay close to my big sister for a while. There was no training period for any new kids. There is no time to walk, but to run. No time for trying, but just do it. If you try your best and was not good enough, you had better figure it out fast. Why was that not good enough like everybody else? There was punishment for working too slow, for complaining, for carelessness, forgetfulness. Life was terrible, miserable, painful, more than I could cope with. And I said to myself, what my dad said did not help at all. On one rainy evening, after working and get bitten by sandbug for hours in the rice fields, I was wet and cold, and I had no dry clothes to change into. And while I was trying to get warm and to dry my clothes that I was wearing, and I saw some rice cracker that partly burned, but they looked so inviting and I was so hungry. So what my dad said to me suddenly popped in my mind. So I thought, if I help to cook fan the stove to get the flames going, since that seemed to be the problem, then the cook may reward me those rice cracker. So I did. I had learned how to rearrange the firewood from the girl in the village. And I did get the flame going, and I did get some of those rice crackers for dinner. Within a few months of standing in the mud for at least 8 hours a day, my feet got infected. Without any medication, it got to the point that I could not walk to the rice field. So I had to stay with the sick people where my feet got treated in the warm tamarind leaf water solution. But the price that I had to pay for not being able to work in the rice field, it was the bowls of rice. My feet got improved, but not good enough to get back to work in the fields yet. When some of the sick was taken away during the night, I got really worried. And the feelings that I could be next and my parents did not even know anything about it, it terrifies me more than the bowls of rice. So again, I thought about what my dad had said and looked for a way to be useful. So I asked the nurse if I can help her to distribute bowl of porridge to the very sick patient. To my relief, she agreed. She was very happy that I helped her with that duty twice a day, but I still could not get the bowls of rice back yet. Then I saw some elderly people binding straw for making houses. So I asked if I could do that between sewing meal to patient and soaking my feet. From then on, I learned how to bind straw, look after baby while the mothers was working in the fields. I was very happy that I could get the bowl of rice back. More and more, I started to understand what being useful means. And so much that I want to go home and tell my dad. Not long after this, my sister was sent to a very far away camp, and I was moved as well to the children camp, which located even further away in the jungle, where the farmland was not cultivated yet. In the children camp, there was about 60 children, 4 adults and 1 grandpa, and we call him Grandpa Dum. One day when I was working on top of the hill next to Grandpa Dum, and I heard screaming. And I turned around to look, and there was 2 water buffalo just running fiercely towards Grandpa Dum and my direction. And Grandpa Dum lifted his hoe to scare them away. And he shouted, demand for me to run for my life. I did not know how, but I fell face down on the ground. But I remember the feeling that the 8 buffalo feet just trampling on my back. When they had gone, Grandpa Dum turned me over. My clothes just stripped and torn, full of blood. And my right arm just dangling down when they lift me up. Thankfully, Grandpa Dum treated my wounds and my broken shoulder, by himself in his cottage, preparing an organic remedy using papaya leaf, papaya fruit, and other ingredients, and the natural heat therapies. Slowly, I gradually recovered and was able to stand up with my arm in a sling. But I was not strong enough to go back to work in the field yet. With these constant fears of being useless and being rid of, I went to the kitchen to see what I could do with one hand. So I fanned the fire, picked up fruit and vegetables, helped to prepare food, and above all, I learned by observing how to cook rice for 65 people in a giant wok. After my recovery, working in the kitchen became my full-time job. Since I have learned so much, and the cook found that I was useful to have around. There was many incidents in those years that I almost died. From drowning, sickness of malaria, and starvation, etc. What happened in those 3 years, 8 months, and 20 days had taken away so much from our life that some prefer not to look back. But to me, there have been so many occasions in life that I remind myself of what I had been through and appreciate what I have learned from it. Dear everyone, although this war happened so many years ago, the word that my dad had whispered in my ear the day that I was taken away is still ingrained in my mind today. Just be useful. Be useful to yourself. Make effort to learn basic, necessary skills in life, whether that be making food, cleaning up your own room, sewing by hand, or use sewing machine. After all, you will never know when you will need it in the future. Be useful to your family. Be aware of your family situation, whether that be physically, mentally, or financially. Offer help and understanding wherever you can. Only with this, you can extend your usefulness to your community, your country, and so on. Today, I still finding way to improve myself, to continue to learn new way of making different kind of food to make myself useful in order to support my family. I find way to be useful to our community in Hong Kong. I have joined and donate whatever I can to help those that are homeless in Hong Kong as a result from the current pandemic. All I wish to say is, you don't have to go through a war to learn how to survive. And you don't have to go through a dramatic life experience to start realizing that you are the person who can make and shape your own path. Life itself is a battle. You shouldn't have to wait until it is too late to realize that making yourself useful, regardless of context, is important at all stages in life. So, go forth and be useful. Thank you.